They don't wait for the weather to change. They move through the storm. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need a perfect start. You don't need a sign. The fact that you're alive, breathing, thinking, dreaming, that's the only sign you'll ever need. This is your time. This is your shot. And this is your shot. And every second you hesitate is a second lost forever. You've already waited long enough. There comes a point where thinking is no longer helping you. Planning isn't moving you forward. Dreaming, hoping, visualizing, they're all important, but without action, they become distractions. You have to start. You have to take the first step, even if it's messy, even if you're scared, even if you don't know exactly where that step will lead. The truth is, clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from doing. Most people waste their potential waiting for certainty. They want a guarantee before they begin. But success doesn't work like that. The path reveals itself while you're walking it, not while you're staring at it. Start where you are with what you have. Too many people think they need more before they can begin. More money, more time, more knowledge, more support. But greatness has always started in discomfort. It has always started with less than perfect conditions. What separates the people who move forward from the ones who stay stuck is not their resources, but their resourcefulness. It's their decision to act anyway, even if they feel underprepared, especially when they feel underprepared. Because progress is built on action, not theory. Taking action doesn't mean you won't fail. It doesn't mean you won't fail. It doesn't mean you'll always get it right. But it does mean you'll learn, you'll grow, and you'll adapt. When you're in motion, you have momentum. And momentum is powerful. It builds energy, confidence, and consistency. But if you sit in hesitation too long, the doubt creeps in. You start asking the wrong questions. What if I fail? Or what if I'm not good enough? Or what if they laugh at me? But when you take action, those questions fade because you're too busy moving to care about fear. Action builds belief. It proves to yourself that you're not helpless. It reminds you that you have control over your life. You can set a direction and go after it. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who shows up, someone who executes, someone who follows through. That builds trust within yourself, and trust is the foundation of self-confidence. You can't believe in yourself if you're constantly breaking promises to yourself. You don't need the whole staircase to take the first step. You just need the courage to take one. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's writing one page. Maybe it's putting your phone down and focusing on your work for 1 hour. Small actions matter. They compound. They stack up over time. People are always looking for the big leap, the one perfect move that changes everything. But real progress doesn't come from a single grand decision. It comes from thousands of small ones. It's boring, it's unglamorous, but it works. Stop waiting for inspiration to hit. Stop waiting to feel like it. Discipline will take you places motivation never will, because the days you don't feel like showing up are the days that matter most. Anybody can move when it's easy, but the ones who win are the ones who move when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when they rather do anything else. That's where the edge is, that's where growth lives, and that's where you separate yourself from the rest. You won't always see the reward right away. Results take time, but action isn't just about the outcome, it's about who you become by showing up. Every time you take action, you're rewriting your story. You're shifting from a passive observer to an active creator of your life. You stop waiting for things to happen and you start making them happen. That's power. That's purpose. And that's where fulfillment starts, not in the dream, but in the grind of chasing it. People say they want change, but they're afraid of what it requires. Change demands movement. Change demands discomfort. Change demands sacrifice. But if you don't move, nothing moves. Life doesn't respond to your thoughts. It responds to your actions. If you want different, you have to do different. You have to push past the resistance. The moment you stop negotiating with your excuses, you create space for transformation. You give yourself permission to rise. Don't wait for the mood to strike. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for someone to hand you a map. Start, move, shift from idea to execution. Shift from hoping to building. The people who change the game don't wait for direction. They create it through movement. You are not stuck because of what you lack. You are stuck because you haven't started. There's a moment in every journey when it stops being exciting. When the adrenaline wears off, the motivation fades, and the grind begins to feel heavy. That's where most people stop. Not because they can't do it, but because they didn't expect it to get hard. They thought once they started, the road would somehow stay smooth. But the truth is, every worthwhile goal comes with resistance. It tests your commitment. It checks how bad you really want it. Hey, and if you're not ready to push through that resistance, you're going to quit long before the breakthrough comes. There will be days when you feel like you're not making any progress. Days when you're tired, frustrated, and burned out. When everything in you screams to take the easy way out. Those are the days that define you. Anyone can show up when it's easy. Anyone can put in work when they're feeling inspired. But real growth happens when you keep moving, even when the fire is gone. When you do the work anyway. When you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start learning how to fight through the pain. Resistance isn't a sign you're on the wrong path. It's proof you're on the right one. Anything worth building comes with friction. That friction is what sharpens you. It's what turns effort into excellence. The pressure, the obstacles, the fatigue, it's all part of the process. You don't get stronger by avoiding it. You get stronger by walking through it over and over again. When you want to quit, that's the exact moment you need to dig deeper. That's where mental toughness is built. Not when it's comfortable, but when it's crushing. You don't become unstoppable by being comfortable. You become unstoppable by choosing discipline when motivation is gone. You become relentless when you wake up tired and show up anyway. You become powerful when you stop looking for shortcuts and embrace the grind. Because that's where the real transformation happens. Not in the highlight reel, but in the dark, quiet hours when no one's watching and you're the only one holding yourself accountable. When you feel resistance, don't run from it. Lean into it. Let it challenge you. Let it stretch you. Let it mold you into someone who doesn't flinch in the face of difficulty. That inner resistance, that voice that says, take it easy, skip today, nobody will know. That's the enemy. And the more you give in, the more power it gains. But every time you push through, every time you say, I'm showing up anyway, you silence that voice, you take back control. And that's how you grow stronger. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. People talk about chasing dreams, but they don't talk enough about the sacrifice, about the late nights, the early mornings, the setbacks that punch you in the mouth. They don't talk about the hours of work with no applause, the moments of doubt that creep in like shadow, but that's the cost. That's the cause. And if you want to rise, if you want to reach that next level, you got to be willing to pay it. No one escapes the resistance. The ones who win are just the ones who decide not to quit. You got to understand that pressure is part of the process. The resistance you feel is not there to stop you. It's there to shape you. Diamonds aren't formed without pressure. Steel isn't forged without fire. And your character won't be built without resistance. This is where you earn your confidence. This is where you build your edge. Not when things are easy, but when everything inside you is screaming to give up and you move forward anyway. The world will test your commitment. Life will test your patience, the grind, and will test your endurance. But if you can keep showing up, if you can keep working through the pain, if you can keep trusting the process, even when the results are invisible, you become a different person, a stronger person, a more dangerous person, Someone who doesn't fold under pressure. Someone who doesn't rely on feelings to fuel effort. Someone who keeps moving forward because they've decided that quitting is not an option. No one said it would be easy, but easy doesn't change you. Easy doesn't prepare you for the storm. Easy doesn't make you a leader, a fighter, or a winner. Resistance is the fire that refines you. It's not your enemy. It's your invitation to rise. It's easy to fall in love with results. Easy to get addicted to the applause, the praise, the numbers, the recognition. But if results are the only thing that drive you, you won't last. Because the results don't always come fast. They don't always come the way you expect. Sometimes you'll do everything right and still feel like you're standing still. That's why the process matters more than the prize. That's why the people who truly win are the ones obsessed with the work, not just the outcome. You have to love the grind, love the routine, love the discipline, love the small, invisible wins. Because that's what most of success looks like: repetition, effort, and patience. It's not glamorous. It's not always exciting, but it's necessary. The people at the top didn't get there by luck. They got there by doing the same thing over and over again, even when no one was watching, even when they didn't feel like it, even when they had every excuse to quit. You can't just be motivated when it's fun. You can't only give your best when there's a spotlight. The process asks you to show up every day, whether you feel like it or not. It demands consistency. It demands humility because it will break you down before it builds you up. You'll fail. You'll stumble. You'll question yourself. And that's exactly what it's supposed to do. The process isn't designed to be easy. It's designed to separate the committed from the curious. Most people want to win, but they don't want to sacrifice. They want the reward, but not the routine. But the routine is where greatness is born. The early mornings, the late nights, the hours spent doing the boring stuff, the hard stuff, the stuff nobody claps for. That's where champions are made. Not in the moments of glory, but in the quiet discipline of daily effort. If you can learn to fall in love with that, there's no limit to what you can build. The process teaches you patience. It teaches you resilience. It forces you to develop focus in a world full of distractions. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, about showing up one more day. Taking one more step, doing one more rep, writing one more page, making one more call, and doing it again tomorrow. When you make the process your obsession, success becomes a side effect. You stop chasing the prize and start building the person who deserves it. This is about work ethic, too, about dedication, about showing up even when the results are invisible. It's easy to start something. Anyone can be excited on day 1, but how do you act on day 50, on day 100, on the days when you feel like nothing is working? That's when the process checks your character. That's when it asks you, do you really want this, or did you just like the idea of it? Because success is rented, and the rent is due every single day. You've got to learn to embrace the silence, to keep pushing even when nobody is clapping, nobody is noticing, and nobody is validating you. You don't need external praise when you're locked in on the process, because the process itself becomes your reward. It becomes your identity. You wake up with a purpose. You go to sleep with peace. Not because you hit some target, but because you know you gave it everything. And that's more powerful than any number, any title, any trophy. The process doesn't lie. It reflects your effort, your mindset, your habits. If you're honest with it, it will build you. If you shortcut it, it will expose you. There are no hacks, no fast tracks, no cheat codes, just effort. Just hours, just choices. And the more you commit to the process, the more it shapes you into someone who can handle the weight of success when it finally arrives. Because success without the foundation of the process will collapse. But success built on discipline and consistency will last. You have to be willing to do the things most people avoid, to outwork, outlast, and outdiscipline your competition. Not because you want to prove them wrong, but because you want to prove yourself right. The process will demand more from you than you thought you had. And you'll discover day by day that you're stronger than you ever believed. Not because of talent, not because of luck, but because you showed up when it mattered most. Because you stayed loyal to the work even when the results didn't show up right away. Because you chose to keep going when everything told you to stop. Hunger is not about appetite. It's not about food. It's about drive. That deep, restless fire inside that keeps you awake at night thinking about what you're meant to do. Hunger is what separates the average from the elite. It's what pushes you to go back to work when everyone else is celebrating. It's what wakes you up early without an alarm clock. What makes you do the extra reps, the extra hours, the extra steps nobody else sees. Hunger is not a feeling. It's a mindset, a way of life. When you're hungry, you don't settle. You don't coast. You don't get comfortable because you hit one milestone. You don't stop just because you've made some progress. Hungry people understand that the work is never over. There's always another level, always another mountain, always another mountain, always more to learn, more to improve, more to earn. It's not about being dissatisfied. It's about being driven, because the moment you think you've made it, you stop growing. You stop pushing. You lose the edge. The hunger keeps you honest. It keeps you focused. It keeps you humble. It keeps you humble. Because when you're truly hungry, you don't care about appearances. You care about improvement. You don't care about pretending to be great. You care about becoming great. You're not trying to impress people, but you're trying to impress upon the world what you're capable of. You don't need validation because your vision is enough. The hunger becomes your fuel, your reason, your rhythm. Some people chase success because they want recognition, but that's surface level. That fades. Hunger goes deeper. It's personal. It's not about proving the others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing you gave everything. It's about refusing to let your potential go to waste. Hungry people don't fear failure, they fear regret. They fear waking up one day and realizing they didn't go all in, that they played it safe, that they wasted time. Hunger demands sacrifice. You have to give things up. Time, comfort, even relationships. People won't always understand your grind. They'll call you obsessed. They'll say you're doing too much, but what they call obsession, you call commitment. What they see as extreme, you know is necessary because you're not trying to live an average life. You're not trying to stay in the same place. Hunger requires you to move different, to think different, to be different. When you're truly hungry, you don't need perfect conditions. You don't wait for motivation to kick in. You don't need someone to hype you up. You create your own momentum. You build your own fire. You keep showing up even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it's boring, even when it feels like it's not working. Because deep down, you know that progress is being made. You know that every step, every rep, every hour is feeding that hunger and taking you closer. The problem is most people lose their hunger too soon. They hit one goal and they relax. They get a little praise and they slow down. But the ones who truly rise are the ones who stay hungry, no matter how high they climb. They don't let success make them soft. They don't let comfort kill their head. And they remember what it took to get here, and they know it'll take even more to stay here and grow from here. So they stay sharp. They stay focused. They keep grinding like they haven't achieved anything yet. That's the difference between average and great. Average people stop when they're tired. Great people stop when they're done. Average people work when it's easy. Great people work when it's tough. Average people celebrate too soon. Great people keep climbing because hunger doesn't care how far you've come. It's always asking, oh, what's next? It doesn't let you rest on your past. It pulls you toward your potential. You've got to feed the hunger daily with action, with discipline, with purpose. You can't let it go stale. You've got to remind yourself every day why you started, why you can't quit, why you won't settle. That hunger inside you, that's your gift. That's your advantage. And not everyone has it. But if you do, you've got to protect it. You've got to fuel it. You've got to let it push you beyond what you thought was possible, because it's not the most talented who win. It's the ones who want it the most. You don't rise by accident. You don't wake up one day at the top. You get there because you made a decision. So a decision to show up, to stay locked in, to move with purpose while everyone else was waiting. While others were distracted, you were focused. While others were making excuses, you were making progress. That's how winners are built, not by chance, not by luck, but by choice. Every single day, you choose to act like the person you want to become, long before the world sees it. You have to move with intention. You have to carry yourself like you're already where you want to be, not in ego, but in standard. You hold yourself to a higher level. You don't need applause. You don't need approval. You know who you are and what you're after. That's what separates the committed from the curious. The committed don't need a reason to keep going. They already gave themselves one the day they started. They don't need external validation because the fire inside burns hotter than anything outside. Every time you take control of your day, every time you prioritize the work, every time you say no to distractions, you're sending a message to your mind, to your habits, to your future, that you're not here to play small. You're here to build something, to become someone. That mindset creates momentum, and momentum turns into mastery. But it doesn't happen without discipline. It doesn't happen without a mindset that says, I may not be there yet, but I refuse to stay here. So many people talk about where they want to go, but they never shift how they think. You can't win with a weak mindset. You can't build a strong life with soft habits. Your actions will never rise above your thinking. That's why you've got to protect your mental space. You've got to fill your mind with truth, with purpose, with vision, because the way you think determines the way you move, and the way you move determines where you end. You have to believe it before you see it. You have to speak it before anyone claps for it. You have to walk like it, talk like it, work like it before the world recognizes it. Because confidence isn't about what you've already done. It's about what you know you're willing to do. It's about showing up even if the scoreboard says you're losing, because deep down you've already decided that quitting is not your language. Winners don't wait for motivation. They create structure. They create systems that keep them on track. They take control of their mornings. They protect their energy. They design their lives around growth, not comfort. They don't chase every opportunity. They focus on the ones that align with their mission. That's how they stay sharp. That's how they keep climbing. They understand that average is everywhere, but excellence is rare, and rare requires rare habits. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to come from money. You don't have to have all the connections. But you do have to be intentional. You do have to be obsessed with the details. The way you talk to yourself, the way you plan your time, the way you train when no one's watching, that's what builds the edge. That's what turns pressure into power. Because the battlefield is won before the fight begins. It's one in your preparation. It's one in your mindset. And it's one in the decision to live above your feelings and move by your values. When you move with purpose, distractions lose their power. You stop comparing. You stop complaining. You stop wasting energy on things that don't move you forward. Because you're locked in. You got clarity. You've got direction. And you've got a standard you refuse to lower. That's the mentality that builds champions. That's the thinking that creates legacy. Not wishful thinking, not hoping it works out, but working like it's already yours. Living like your actions today are writing your future, because they are. The world will try to pull you off course. It will offer shortcuts. It will tempt you to slow down, to blend in, to settle. But you weren't built for average. You weren't born to be invisible. There's something in you that was meant to lead, to stand out, to elevate. But that won't happen by accident. That happens when you wake up every day and decide to walk like a winner, decide to show up with the mindset of someone who's already claimed the prize, because the mindset comes before the milestone. The belief comes before the breakthrough. The fire inside comes before the finish line.